All right, we're doing our 2012 calculus free response question, released number 4, part B. It says to write an equation for the line tangent to the graph of f at x equals -3. We're going to use our result from part A to do that. So here we go with part B. And we want to remember that in order to write the equation for the tangent line, our main equation that we're going to use is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And what we're really looking for is to fill in values for the y, the y1, the x1, and the m. So we want to take advantage of that. If we know that y equals f of x, then we can basically get our x1 and our y1 right here. And in fact, the x1 is the given value because it does say to evaluate this at x equals -3. That's in the problem. So our x1 is going to be -3, and we're going to use that. And to get our slope, we have to remember that the slope of the tangent is equal to f prime of x. So once we get f prime of x, and in fact, we're going to take our -3 and plug it in for the slope. So let's start with this over here. We'll get our y1 and our x1. So we know that our function is y equals square root 25 minus x squared. And all we're doing at this point is plugging in the -3 for the x. So we're going to say y equals square root of 25 minus -3 squared. And this is a calculator active question, but hopefully you don't need your calculator to figure out that this is square root 16, so it's 4. Do be careful about your parentheses. If you did do this in a calculator, you would want to make sure that your negative is in parentheses when you do your exponent. All right, so now I know what y1 is. This is my y1. And this is my x1. So I've got x1 and y1. In fact, if you like, you can write that as a point, -3, 4. This is our x1 and our y1. Now, over here, we need to find the slope of that line. So the slope is f prime. Now, fortunately, we have just calculated that in part A. Now, we can use this line, or we can use this line. I'm going to go ahead and use this line since in the AP, you might not have simplified this. You might have just left it here. So here's what we know. Our f prime of x is equal to 1/2 times 25 minus x squared to the -1/2 power times -2x. All right, and now I'm just going to substitute in my value of x1 equals -3. So we're going to put our x1 equals -3. We're going to put that here and here. Then we have, and we can call that at this point, we can call it f prime of -3. So that's equal to 1/2 times 25 minus, we'll put our -3 in parentheses, and it's squared, and then it's to the -1/2 power. And then we're multiplying by -2. We want to remember that this is also a multiplication, so that's times -3, and then we're going to close parentheses there. Now, in AP, generally, we don't have to simplify an expression like this. However, since we have to put it in here, we don't want to have to keep writing that over again. So we probably want to simplify this as much as possible, and it's not too hard to do. So again, that 25 minus -3 squared, but that's 25 minus 9, so that's 16. So I have times 16 to the -1/2 power. And then here, this is -2 times 3, and I'm multiplying, so that's times -6. Positive 6, actually. Negative times negative is positive. All right, so now I can combine these together, and in fact, 6 times 1/2 is 3, and then 16 to the -1/2. Remember, the negative power means we're going to put that 16 in the denominator. The 1/2 power means we're going to take the square root of it, so that's 4, and I have 1 for my numerator. So 16 to the -1/2 power is 1/4. You want to be good with calculating with rational exponents like that. So our slope is just 3/4. So now I don't have to write this whole thing into my slope there. Although, by the way, you could. Now, I'm ready to write this equation here. And for my y1, I'm going to put in my 4. For my slope, I'm going to put in 3/4. And for my x, I'm just going to leave it x, and my x1 is negative 3. So since I have x minus x1, x1 is negative 3, let's just make that a plus 3. Now I've written the equation of a line, and this line is tangent to my original function. So this is it, and this is done with part B.